the radio wave. All the hoax, the whole world is a stage. They think on my page, but I'm infinite gang, infinite plane, playing no games. Infinite gang, we ain't playing no games. Infinite plane, I'm on the infinite plane. Infinite plane.
Okay, we are live 12/10/2024. Okay, yes, we're definitely live on all cylinders. We're actually totally fired up here. Every single platform is activated, and we're on all of the audio platforms available to us. We've been clearing 300 live listeners, and that's just the video, and easily another 50 or 60 or so that I can't get a precise number on immediately, but on the audio streams. And that doesn't count the replays, and those numbers are also doing well. And that's because you all keep it interesting. You being the think tank, the Blue Wrench Lodge, the researchers that add into this research pool. It's like a multi-million piece puzzle. One person couldn't possibly see it all, much less assemble it. And what we're looking at here is a series of puzzles. And I'm not bored whatsoever at any point. I'm not against the media. I'm a critic of it. But in a lot of ways, I'm the MSM's biggest fan. We are immersed in it and have been for some time. But our position, it has to be said from the beginning, is that of the alien anthropologist. We're ivory tower, off-world stage, conscientious objectors to the Psy-War. So we can't be blamed for anything. We're not part of the system. We're actually outside of it. And our objective is not to get a place in it. I don't really want to breathe their air. We have our own. Our objective here is to elucidate the difference between the real world and the world as broadcast and accepted and internalized by the masses who don't know how big the lies are. It's a scale thing. I mean, it's easy for truthers to see a psyop here and there, but ask them to see the Psy-War, they can't see it. And it's because they're too close. I often describe the normies as those who have their noses pressed right up against the screen. And that's a frame of reference. It's like a window to the world, to them. But clearly it's not a window, it's a filter. But the individuals who don't buy that version of it tend to look deeper by immersing themselves further, going through the screen. And that's where you're going to find the conspiracy theorists. We, the skeptics, have taken about 6 feet back from the screen. We socially distance from all of these sources. And what I mean by that is that we do suspend judgment when it comes to, do we believe this to be real or fake? I say, I don't know. The first night after the CEO was shot, I said, I don't know, I need more time. I said, clearly there's going to be something with the CEO being shot within the class warfare, elite class versus the working class. We already kind of called that out. So my question now is, with Luigi, is he an actor or a Patsy? Now, you can't really see it too well, but right behind me, I guess on my left shoulder, I did a painting of Luigi, the one where he's smiling, but I did it up in the colors of the Joker. You know, I'll put it up on the screen. It's on eBay. And you'll see why. I mean, I do not believe that there are any coincidences on the world stage. And whenever we see strong evidence of scripting, of something being more narrative than facts, I tend to think it's a psyop. So if you're looking here, this is Joker Luigi, original. I didn't put his last name because I didn't want to be accused by eBay of glorifying a mass murderer or an assassin, even though it's okay for people to do that apparently these days. Consider it a favor. If someone you know applauds the assassination, even though you're enlightened enough to know it's fake, if someone you know believes it's real and they're happy about it, you should be happy. Be happy whenever a sociopath reveals themselves. It's not often that they let the mask fall, and right now they feel a little bit safe, emboldened. Okay, we'll get right into it and why I think it's fake. I alluded to it day one. I had my initial breakdown of it having to do with how it was presented. In fact, we'll start with first impressions, And in fact, I have it all here. I have a pretty strong breakdown. The article is entitled, "Is the CEO Shooter the Joker? Metascript Breakdown." Joe Sancho says, "I'm almost positive the McDonald's toys are the Mario Kart toys, and there's a Luigi one." Yeah, there's something to the Luigi Mario thing. And I saw on Amazon, someone had sold like 100,000 of those green Luigi hats. And I'm correlating the green Luigi hat and the shooter with Joker's green hair. It's all symbolic. Much like we were talking about how Joker 2 comes out at the same time as Beetlejuice 2, another Joker archetype, and he's got the green hair. Many examples of such, which we'll be delving into. But I want to point out that it's safe to say, if there's any indication of a hoax, including predictive programming and concurrent programming, you can just rule out it being real until you find facts to support that. Because now the facts are in support of it being a scripted hoax. And in this case, there are multiple connections between this shooting and the concurrent #1 Amazon TV show, The Madness, including ghost guns, 3D printed guns, and a CEO being shot. And this being favorable to the left because the CEO in this movie is an Elon Musk type financing Nazis on the internet to influence elections. So it's just packed with narrative. And if you delve into The Madness, you're literally looking at this Don Lemon hero, and you've got Stu Peters in the form of Mark Simon, Brother 14, this white power leader who gets killed. And then you have Laura Simmons, who's based on Laura Loomer in real life, who also gets killed with a nerve agent. Simulates a heart attack. But the connection between the CEO and Musk is something I made after my first viewing, and then I've seen subsequent reviews of this show, and they've said it's either Musk or Zuckerberg or a combination, but it's obviously Musk because he's specifically financing neo-Nazis on the internet. What other billionaire CEOs do that? So we'll get into the storyline here. First, let me go ahead and see. We've got 150 people already, so this is quick. Observing Reality, John Francis, Diana South, Rome, Ears Up, Esteban, King Ravana, Frank Murr, Joe Sanchez, we got you here. He said, yeah, about the McDonald's thing too, I want to bring this up. You got the McDonald's clown, Donald Trump at McDonald's, and the shooter gets caught in McDonald's. So what the hell is that? I mean, in a story level, as far as like the narrative here unfolding, it's like you do have the element of Trump and the shooter now being correlated in the sense that they both occupy the same space, just not at the same time. But as you'll see, these are likely symbolic, it's likely a play, and it's likely staged. In fact, he even gave the Unabomber's manifesto a 4-star rating. And I've said this before, all of these fake shooters and fake assassins live in a fictional universe, and they borrow each other's homework. They steal from each other's manifestos all the time. They reference one another. Even Audrey Hale was the one who said something about trying to impress the Littleton shooters in her manifesto. And this guy has a manifesto, and it's about social justice. Well, you'll see. We'll get into this, because it all ties into the Robin Hood and Joker as a class warrior. Angst G says, I wonder if he's the famous jazz trumpeter. Chuck Mangione. How do you say it? Could be. He comes from a well-to-do family. They've already made comments to the effect that they're shocked by this. But my question here fundamentally is he an actor or a patsy? And a third one would be, is he an independent rogue operator who did this thing? And a lot of people believe that, and they cheer it on. Conscious Reality said, it's 2024. When's the last time you heard someone's name Luigi? Yeah, the name does stand out. And when we talk about predictive programming or concurrent stuff, it also pertains to video games, because what we're pointing out here are examples of concerted messaging, not coincidences. So a couple of months ago, we talked about this, where a video game came out called Black Myth about the Monkey King, Onaman. And there were 10 million people playing it live at the same time, set some major record. At the same time, a 90-foot tall statue of this same monkey god was unveiled outside of Houston. At the same time, Bad Monkey had been released on Apple on the same day that the monkey virus was declared a global crisis by the WHO. And as we looked into it, you had Chimp Crazy on HBO. There were like chimps that were actually on the loose. And it just seemed like, okay, there's some kind of concerted messaging here, all pertaining to this monkey god. What the heck is this? The deeper we dug, the more we found that this consistent messaging was actually applying more or less to the rage virus. And the work of Jordan Peele has a lot to do with this concept of the spectacle, the image that triggers violent reactions. And he made that movie Nope after having been inspired by the George Floyd event, and how that event, that 10-minute video, caused this major reaction. It's like an atom bomb in a sense, but it happens in everybody's minds, and it creates this explosion, this effect that he describes in Nope with this obsession with spectacle. And this is a key point here. But the idea is, of course, we're talking about people responding as though they're catching a rage virus from the screen. And this goes back to 28 Days Later. And I have the trailer, by the way, for the 28 Years Later. So the 28 Days Later has the opening scene where they're doing experiments with apes, making them watch violent movies, and it turns them into raging apes, who then transmit the virus to humans. So this theme has been floating around in a very direct way, like it's concerted messaging. And a lot of it is specifically correlating to the concept of mind viruses. Even as Jordan Peele's, he was the producer of Monkey Man, about a man who's a boxer who wears the mask of the monkey god, and he gets beat up again and again, and one day he goes crazy with rage. Same theme. Well, that came out on 3/11, which cements the idea of the virus, the pandemic, the mind virus pandemic. So that's what we've been building to with this particular set of messages, this rage virus concept. So right now, what we're looking at is a new amalgamation of a lot of different influences that are being projected onto this Patsy. And I think it's safe to say it's a hoax just based on how this is something that's emerged right out of our out of our entertainment. This is like well, it is in fact, I would say, a movie. So first impressions. Let me just go through this article and then we'll catch up. G said, I was inclined to believe the story even despite Miles Mathis calling it out as fake until I heard he had a manifesto. Well, they said he had the names, deny, was it depose and deflect or something? He had these 3 words on the bullets, which I have here. The point is that referenced a book that expresses a lot of disdain for the healthcare industry. And it seems to me that that book was the manifesto that it was alluding to. In fact, let me go ahead and bring that up. And how likely is it that someone could write these? I would like to see a picture. Like, what kind of marker do you use? Okay, deny, defend, depose. So the book wasn't called Deny, Defend, Depose, but he changed the last word to depose. Words on ammo in CEO shooting echoes a common phrase used to describe insurer tactics to avoid paying out. But there is a book that contains these words, but he put depose, which is a way of saying assassinate. So it's a very specific change there. But the book that was referenced is by J. Feynman, Delay, Deny, Defend, Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay. So that's your manifesto. And one of the things I brought up day one was, if this is a real murder, why are we getting all these details right up front? Why is the case being made so public? It just seems kind of like a bad idea for a few reasons, but also publishing a manifesto like this seems like a bad idea. Like they wouldn't do it unless they wanted people to read it. And as we've been observing, everyday normies, not just political agitators, on the left, are in fact clapping their hands. They do like this. They'll say, I don't believe in murder, but. Anybody who says, I don't believe in murder, but, is a psychopath or a sociopath, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty sickening, but it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse. You'll see. People are swooning over this individual. Okay, first impressions. Regarding the United Healthcare CEO shooting, my first impressions, wait for more information. Is it believable? Yes. Does it make it real? No. So yeah, it's believable, but that's not enough. I need it to be an informed believer, not a low info believer. It's believable that Hillary Clinton could eat babies, but there's no evidence to support it. We can't just go with what we want to believe or what seems believable. I'm trying to move away from being believers, and we are quarantining ourselves as a segment of media analysts and viewers that are in fact knowers and informed disbelievers. So I suspend judgment for a few days. Some people have a rule like 72 hours. Instead of getting emotionally entangled with every story, just wait. But here's some of the questions. Is there more narrative than substance? Is the story attached to a real event or a hoax event? So this story had a few hoax indicators. Among that was the bullets with the words on them. That was the manifesto. Not that, I mean, he has a manifesto now, and we have his term papers. There's quite a lot of content surrounding this character. He's actually not a two-dimensional character. He's not like a David Hogg. This person actually existed, which is kind of next level, which means that this is meant to be impactful. Some of the sentiments I'm seeing are, he had it all, and he sacrificed it for the cause. And also consider, the day he's caught, Daniel Penny is released. So here you have a right-wing vigilante who commits a racist crime that has the BLM and his family trying to start riots, and he gets let out because the system approves that. And then you have somebody who fights the corrupt system, another vigilante coming from the left, and he gets arrested. And so there's this defense fund set up for him. They do make this moral equivalency, and it's by design. It's to make the left say the system is upside down. It's inverted. The heroes are being confined and the villains are being let loose. And that's how it looks from their blinkered perspective. Political utility. Yeah, political utility as a propaganda event. That's something else to look at. But yes, manifestos, dead giveaway. And the fact that he referenced Unabomber, and someone noted too, the Unabomber also had a signature hood. So the hood symbol is also significant here in this case, and we're going to get to that. But again, we knew his intentions before the corpse had assumed room temperature, and that's not normal. That the general public and everybody on X is going to be privy to the intimate details of a case like this, and then they get you involved. Like, hey, help us find him. So you have the people who support him dressing like him, gathering in New York City and having contests to, impersonate the shooter. And they're not interested in finding him. United Healthcare CEO shooting opens a door for many to vent frustrations over their insurance, ABC 7. So does it tap into a political football or a charged narrative? Well, obviously. The shooter inspires the left or those who adhere to the class warfare, rich versus poor, oppressor versus oppressed. So I said this on day one, and just today, one of his term papers was released, and I took out some quotes here where he specifically refers to this idea of the oppressed and the oppressors, and his stance on it. For example, and he's writing in the context of the Catholic faith and where these things are put into their worldview. So, for example, caught in a confusing time and bogged down by poverty and sickness, the lower class felt the only solution to their problems lay in a life after death, a solution Christianity offered. Anyway, it goes on. These are lengthy papers, but there's a few excerpts here that I think are significant here. There's a sociological formula that defines a new community, which makes you an equal with all the other members of that community, even the lowliest slave. Matthew clearly sent this message. So he goes on talking about creating a community that caters to the poor, the suffering, and the oppressed. All right, let's continue to go through this blog post. So predictive concurrent programming. So there are tie-ins that relate here to the Joker. I talked about the madness. Now, the madness, the series, The Madness, it's actually about the mind virus. And the FBI agent actually says this. He talks about how there's a virus out there and it's killing people. And he meant a mind virus from the right wing, from these billionaires paying e-Nazis to cause this type of mayhem in society. So they're specifically calling the madness in the series the mind virus itself. So there's an interesting connection here, which we're going to get to. But why Joker? Let's start with this. Joker was a broken, mentally ill victim of society on a righteous mission to fight against the elite. So if you know the story, or if you watch Joker 1, he's in a subway, he kills some rich people, and this makes him into a hero. And kill the rich is a recurring theme, as you'll see. What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with society that abandons him and treats him like trash? You get what you deserve, the Joker, before pulling the trigger and shooting Murray Franklin, a representative of the elite. So this was saying that the poor have the right to revolt. And think too about Daniel Penny, who he killed. He killed Jordan Neely, who was mentally ill, a victim of society. The system didn't treat him, and then he's lynched. So that's something that, again, it relates to this because it happens the same day. The Joker, like that assassin, is the voice of the people, an expression of popular will. And this is a sentiment the left is making regarding the shooter. So it's also bringing back the Riddler. The Riddler had the same axe to grind against society. Here's a quote from his diary. "The empty promise they sold me as a child in the orphanage, one look inside I understood my whole life had been preparing me for this, when I could finally strike back and expose their lies. If you want people to understand, really understand, you can't just give them the answers. You have to confront them and torture them with horrifying questions just like they tortured me. I know what I must become." And remember, too, that Thomas Crook, and you see him in the Black Rock videos, looks like the Riddler. And we've noticed other connections beyond just the looks here. Little side note, but it is the case that the Riddler sings Ave Maria, and then Trump did the moment of silence, and they sang that song. The Enigma, his name is Enigma. Thomas Crook has been called an enigma. There are so many examples. And what I'm pointing out here is that the Jokers, the Riddlers, the mentally ill villains are the shooters represented in fiction. And in this case, this guy, is he mentally ill? Well, if you read through his background, this Luigi character, he did have some issues with ayahuasca and demons, and he changed. So the working class shooter who kills the elite class CEO is seen as justice, not murder, by his sympathizers. The Joker movie had a recurring theme of kill the rich, class warfare. So here's a pyramid of money. Now, even though it was said not to have been his, they did report on a backpack full of Monopoly money. That was one of the props. So what is a backpack full of Monopoly money reference? Well, the idea of Monopoly and money being fundamentally worthless, that kind of attitude that you'd expect from his side. So here is the Joker. The town deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm going to give it. He burns the pyramid of money because he says that he's not doing it for the money. He's a better class of criminal. This shooter had all the money in the world. He had no reason to kill the CEO. He wasn't doing it for the money. He was doing it because it's class warfare. And interestingly, Maxwell Azrello, who set himself on fire outside of the courthouse next to a hot dog vendor, interestingly, he had an Eat the Rich shirt in one of his photos where he was next to Newt Gingrich. And this ties into everything else, but he set himself on fire outside the courthouse on 4/19 anniversary of Waco. A lot of significance, but he had a manifesto. And in his manifesto, he talked about that it was the rich on both sides of the political aisle. It didn't matter if Trump won or lost because Trump and Hillary are on the same team, and there's a fascist takeover going on, and he needed to warn everybody. So again, Maxwell Azrello set himself on fire to warn you about rich fascists taking over the world. So the monopoly money, there you have it. And MSNBC reports the backpack found in Central Park, believed to be from the United Healthcare CEO killer, did not contain a gun. Instead, they found Monopoly money. So the Joker-assassin connection deepens. The Joker is based on Taxi Driver. Travis Bickle is played by Robert De Niro. Taxi Driver inspired John Hinckley Jr. to attempt to assassinate Reagan. Also, consider how De Niro is murdered on TV by the Joker. And I had that quote. What do you get when you... His statement, Joker's statement, was to the guy he shot, which was played by De Niro. What do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash? You get what you deserve. So this is interesting because Travis Bickle, who inspires a real assassin, plays an assassin, and that's the basis for the Joker character. So he plays the assassin and the assassinated, overlapping roles, which is intriguing for a couple of reasons, as we'll get to. But now, here's something from Drudge. Drudge put this out there, killer in the cab. So the cab, he's getting away in a cab. What is that? Well, the taxi driver, the killer driving the taxi, Robert De Niro's character. So Joker's character is based on Taxi Driver. Travis Bickle is inspired a real-life assassin. And when I say real, I'm saying it in quotes. It's as real as the assassination attempt on Trump. There he is again, getaway in the cab. And here is Travis Bickle in front of a cab. Now, one thing that's been characteristic of him is his smile. He's constantly depicted smiling. They showed him smiling at some girl at, I guess it was Starbucks. But you have people wearing him on a shirt already. They've already turned him into a hero. Deny, defend, depose. It's on people's shirts. So this was a contest, but New Yorkers celebrate the assassination. But I'm pointing out the smiling. Now look at this. This is another headline from Drudge. Kill the rich. A new movement. Clown vigilante. What are we looking at here? Kill the rich. A new movement is what it says. This is from Joker. So again, you have the Joker standing in front of a newspaper. It says, kill the rich, a new movement. And this is interesting as how it mirrors all these individuals dressing like the shooter. And in the Joker movie, the people in this kill the rich movement, the clown vigilantes, put on a Joker mask. So the Joker mask connection, I think, might be repeated. We'll see. But it kind of is with the hoodie. But I'm waiting to see how far they take it, because it's the hoodie, but also the Luigi hat. I've seen indicators that the Luigi hat might be selling out, which would be interesting to see, because it would mean that the next time the left burns everything down, they're going to be wearing green hats, which would be symbolic of the Joker's green hair. Okay, continuing. A man was murdered in cold blood and you're laughing. This is from New York Times, the New Yorker. So again, laughing, Joker. Robin Hood, take from the rich, give to the poor. Assumed moral high ground, the poor over the elite. The message here is this is justice, not murder. And someone pointed out that this may have Sagittarius connections, but regardless, you're talking about Robin Hood, steal from the corrupt rich, give to the righteous poor. And there's a lot of overlap. So conclusions. I don't have enough information to believe he died, as in the CEO, or that the shooter is anything more than a crisis actor. This seems like a psyop to stir up the left. The Madness, #1 movie on Netflix, has a tech CEO funding Nazis online, influencing elections, getting assassinated in an act of heroism, and throw into it the ghost gun, the 3D printed guns. That's a big part of the movie, and this is also a part of this story now too. Also note the similarity to the hunt for the Boston bomber Joker, as in Joker Sarnef, the Joker. And here's another connection to this fictional universe of Joker and real-life terrorists. So he looks like the Boston bomber. There's kind of a strong resemblance here from the CCTV and from what you saw initially anyway. But another similarity is that the day the Batman movie was released, which was March 4th, 2022, Sarnef's death penalty was reinstated. So March 4th, 2022, Supreme Court voted 6-3. So the Joker from the Boston bombing had his death penalty reinstated the day Batman came out. And look at this headline, caught with a smirk on his face. Boston bomber, Joker. And he has the same angle as the shooter, just looking the opposite way. So a conspicuous overlap of entertainment with future fake news should be viewed as evidence suggestive that you're looking at a hoax or a simulated event. And I think there's plenty here to suggest that this is a manufactured hero for a new kill the rich movement. He's Joker, he's Robin Hood, he's a class warrior, and this is how he's been described by people who are in support of what he's done. And he fits into this reoccurring theme of the shooters being connected to the Joker. So there's a breakdown of him as far as what has been presented to us thus far. Actually, it's gone a lot deeper. I have a lot more. That was what I published yesterday. So let me go back to his college paper really quick. So Laura Loomer obtained a copy of a 19-page paper written by Luigi about how Christianity appealed to the ancient Rome, the lower class in ancient Rome, and he argued why Christianity is the most important religion of the world, focused on Christian moral justice for the sake of catering to the poor, the suffering, and the oppressed. So there you have it again. He did this because he aimed for moral justice for the oppressed. And I noticed that one of the individuals that were dressing up like him being interviewed said that if he wins the contest, he's going to give the money to Palestinians. So again, it fits into this reoccurring theme of siding with the perceived oppressed in that dialectic. So Decoding with Cody shared this first. They're saying Luigi had a ghost gun. Now check out Luigi's ghost gun in the video game Luigi's Mansion, Dark Moon. Yeah, so this is a connection for sure, but also in the madness, you had the gun commune and their 3D printed ghost guns, the same issue. The shooter manifesto included a reference to Gladiator. And Gladiator has a sequel that just came out. So let me see what he wrote here. He said, I authorize my own act of self-defense in response to a hostile entity making war on me and my family. So I'm not going to read it all, but he does describe Gladiator 1, where Maximus cuts into the military tattoo that identifies him as part of the Roman legion. And he says that the only way to destroy the emperor is to destroy himself. But Maximus smiles through the pain because he knows it's worth it. So that's kind of a hint as to his self-sacrifice and how he is sacrificing it because it's worth it. It even goes on to emphasize here, this threat to my health, my family's health, and the health of our country requires me to respond with an act of war. So you have the Gladiator reference, self-sacrifice, and he's doing this as an act of war. Okay, continuing. Everyone thinks the United Healthcare shooter looks like Dave Franco. They've already identified him with movie stars. I don't know very much about Dave Franco. From online forums and social media to the streets of Manhattan, people have been celebrating the suspect as a quasi-folk hero who struck a blow against a detested institution, the nation's for-profit healthcare system. So again, you can see how this is 100% framed within the Marxist class warfare fairy tale. And this is significant to the subway thing and Jordan Neely. And even in the Joker, he starts off killing the rich guys in the subway. The subway represents the underclass. The Batman movie starts off in the subway. He's fighting the Jokers. It represents the chaotic underclass that might rise up and swallow the rich, eat the rich, kill the rich. So it's a symbol. Okay, Daniel Penny acquitted. Dueling groups of protesters gather outside the courthouse following the verdict. Now again, that's again to make. I think they did this on purpose. The same time that he got released, Luigi gets pulled in. Luigi is a hero. End of story. Now here's his ratings, 4 out of 5 stars. Industrial Society and Its Future by Theodore Kaczynski. Clearly written by a mathematics prodigy, reads like a series of lemmas on the question of 21st century quality of life. Interesting. What would it take to get 5 stars in a manifesto? I thought that was the standard. Luigi, suspect for United Healthcare shooting, alleged Instagram is gaining hundreds of followers by the minute. America has created their Robin Hood. So here's someone commenting on how many followers he was gathering before they pulled the plug on it. And he's been compared to Robin Hood, which we had mentioned before, that he looks like the movie cover. BLM threatened to burn down parts of the city, Fox News reports. It's not the season. It's not riot season. Jordan Neely had 42 arrests. I highlighted this because the other day we were talking about numbers that are consistently showing up with various psyops, and I specified how the number 42 is always attached to the big race war psyops, and this is no exception. This is an interesting rabbit trail if you want to get into this staged event here. So the good news is Jordan Neely's not dead, and Daniel Penny didn't really kill somebody by accident. This is all just acting. The man was in McDonald's at 407 East Plank Road in Altoona at 9:15. Another customer called 911. So the McDonald's connection, there has to be something there. I'm interested to see what you all think about it. Jacob Israel 71 said, new show on Netflix called Black Doves, a show about assassins and spies. Lead character finds a phone and there's a date, 12/13/2024. Quote, it is done, in regards to an assassination. Okay. I'll get back into your comments. Okay, now this is interesting. This is Blue Sky. So Blue Sky is like the alternative to Twitter. They're trying to be Twitter without Musk. So Blue Sky has this viral post of a gun pointed at Musk. It's going viral. And Musk can't censor this because this is not his site. Libs of Blue Sky shared it. They want to get Musk. And they put a hashtag manifesting. So it's a very cruel thing, to put that out there. But I'm just saying that in the movie series The Madness, the character that was based on Musk does get shot. Okay, I think I've covered most of my comments on my notes on the matter. There's definitely more, but why top internet sleuths say they won't help find the CEO killer? Yeah, they won't even try. Sparks, who works in the healthcare as a lactation consultant, holds a doctorate in pharmacy, didn't mince words when asked if her community was going to find the suspect in the murder. Quote, absolutely the F not, she said. These are healthcare providers. This is as cold as those FEMA workers not wanting to help out people who have Trump signs in their front yard. This is putting politics above everything else. All right, we have a couple things to look forward to in the coming weeks. I think we're going to leave it at that for my notes right now, and let me catch up with what you have all been saying. Make sure I haven't missed anything. We had like 300 comments. Oh, no, sorry, 3,000. I got to get the numbers. It's ridiculous, the number of comments. Right now we have 267 people listening on video alone. Kiddo Core says, so much misdirection. What are we being distracted from? Well, we're witnessing something. We're witnessing the agitation, the provocation of the left for some kind of French Revolution style uprising. Doesn't take much, does it? Conscious Reality says, John Carpenter's Dark Star was just re-released. I haven't seen it. I'll have to look. John Carpenter's work is magnificent. Major metascriptor. RR says, do you think the story we're being fed is authentic? No. There's no way it's authentic because it has too many connections to the madness. and it has too many connections to the Joker. He's a manufactured folk hero. It's too perfect. Frank Murr says, more concurrent programming with the Penguin. See Salvatore Maroni, son of Luigi Maroni, inside Gotham Batman timeline. You know, part of the madness takes place in Gotham. It has this building labeled Gotham. We live in a Disney universe on planet Netflix, but we're in the city of Gotham. Ted Stryker, thanks for joining. Did he have a copy of Catcher in the Rye, asks Starboy Devoid. Yeah, someone even said he looked similar to Saran, RFK's shooter. And someone else had pointed out that at the time, women were swooning over the shooter. And, you know, I kind of see it. I can kind of see it. Now, the photographer who snapped a photo of RFK falling to his death, Richard Drew, also photographed the 9/11 falling man, which was 33 years later. I mean, 2 lucky shots. But Catcher in the Rye has been associated with this individual, Saran. It's been with Mark Chapman, who shot John Lennon. And even Hinckley had a copy of it. And then in The Shining, Jack's wife is also reading it. Isabel Ann said, I heard Donut talking about Central Park important in Catcher in the Rye, and the CEO shooter escaped to Central Park. Okay, that was a comment from the other day. I wanted to research this. Central Park in Catcher in the Rye. Wouldn't surprise me. That's also true, too. Central Park is where Trump was symbolically killed when they did the play, Julius Caesar. But how clear is this? Kill the rich, a new movement, they all put on the clown mask. Kill the rich, a new movement, they all put on the hoodie. And possibly the green Luigi hats. I'm waiting to see if that happens. But the green is significant. The Joker is a representative of the shooter, of the chaos agent, the provocateur, the terrorist. Okay, let's see here. RR says, I instantly thought of Lee Harvey Oswald today when the killer was escorted into the building by the police. Yeah, that was interesting. That was kind of the same shot. And then he's shouting something out. Joe Santos says, also symbolic of the Joker is the process of how they'll support murder and buy the Luigi hat. Oh, yeah. No, it's great, though. Like, all the people you should avoid are going to identify themselves by putting on green hats. Like, yeah, I'm MK Ultra. I'm ready to kill because of what I see on the screen. RR says, what was he testifying for? Insider trading, kickbacks, why is Pelosi connected? You know, I think that's just rabbit trails of red herrings. I know it's going to turn out to be a deeper story. RR says, Laura Loomer will leave Low Stoned unturned. Yeah, I go where the research goes. Loomer's a provocateur, an agent, a limited hangout. She can't call out the fake. And there's some instances where you have to assume she has a high security clearance and is only playing crazy because she's obviously aware to some extent. I mean, January 6th, for example, anybody who had a prominent role in January 6th is a Fed. Whether it's Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, the QAnon shaman, there's no exceptions. It just wouldn't be possible. So there's, you know, I look at these individuals as what they are, as spokesmouths for power, propaganda mules with little autonomy. But there's a lot of drama around these individuals as well, which is unbelievable. Nick Fuentes getting arrested. His mugshot comes out. Now, Nick Fuentes is an interesting character in this whole conversation because he represents the groypers, who are these incels, who have this gripe against, I should call them gripers, because what they fundamentally do is they gripe about Jews and women and being incels, which means they're involuntarily celibate. But it's all grievance mongering. So the gripers are kind of a demographic that have been pandered to with a certain set of ideas, and they're totally disenfranchised. They're not going to get what they wanted from Trump. But all these characters seem to be having some kind of public fall from grace, but they have no shame. I mean, the things that Laura Loomer has been credibly accused of, Ollie Alexander credibly accused of, they should be under rocks. But no, they're still out there front and center. RR says Black Doves is excellent. I'll check it out. I saw that Canary Black was a trending movie, #1. And I watched it, and it has Putin, a Putin-esque character, releasing a digital pandemic. That's what they called it, a digital atom bomb. Another blackout theme. Conscious Reality says the McDonald's Monopoly game was a scam, of course. Luigi was radicalized by whom, asks RR. I'd say the universities. That's what they're going to say. He says, Tim, you're right. This is a planned event to birth a new anti-establishment movement. I've seen it over and over in my life. Yeah, absolutely, because now they're taking the moral high ground. They're getting consensus. They all agree with it. They have a real-life Joker. So when I talk about these overlaps between the fictional universes and the fake news, it's all for the propaganda purposes. They wanted people to identify with this guy, the target demo on the left. They wanted them to be conditioned to side with the chaos agent, the assassin. Well, how do you get normal people to cheer for a murderer and then wish to emulate his behavior? Well, you sell them a hero in the fiction first. So they've already had a relationship with the Joker. They've experienced the movie, and they relate to him as this anti-hero. He's righteous. He's fighting the cops. He's fighting a corrupt system. So if they believe in this oppressor-oppressed dialectic, then they're going to side with the Joker. Well, they've already decided then, even before they came across Luigi, that they're on his team. That's what I mean when I say that they use these fictional universes to prepare us to accept future things. So we already decide how it's going to go. Are you pro or anti Joker? Are you on the side of Batman, Law and Order, Joker? You can see how they've already invented the character. People make these associations. Bach says Nick Fuentes' character being assassinated, perhaps same with Destiny. Well, Fuentes is going to have to confront a judge and explain why he maced a 57-year-old woman and shoved her if he's also trying to claim self-defense. Because the self-defense claim means that your life is threatened and you're taking the necessary action to save your own life. I don't know if it means you can open the door to somebody that you're afraid of and then spray them with mace. But it's going to be interesting to see, too, because it was an online mob sent to his house. So I'm looking forward to the drama of it. Yeah, I'm seeing those, too. The eBay sales on Luigi hats are going up. I considered getting into the business. I could buy a bunch of Luigi hats and sell them through my store. But I don't want those customers. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open phones. I'm interested to see what you all think. Are we correct here? Are we looking at a fictional character on the world stage portraying a role that people have already interacted with? That is the Joker. Are we looking at a Patsy or somebody who's rogue and literally felt this way and did something that some consider to be heroic? Because my contention is that it's all staged and that nobody died, including the CEO. Starboy Devoid says, Lennon was shot by Central Park on December 8th, the day Luigi was picked up. Yeah, the date 12/8 has some significance as well. It was also on his ID, his address, 12/8, Leave the World Behind released. The bridge that was hit, the Dolly shipping container that hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge. Francis Scott Key, national anthem, the bridge getting hit and falling. Highly significant. But that happened at 1:28 a.m. So there's some numbers stuff here that are also kind of standing out to me. But the big picture here is Joker. He is the Joker. And what does that mean? Well, the Joker 2019 preceded the summer of 2020 and all the riots. And so I think this is indicative of the left wing being agitated. I think that was the point. And I think it's a success. Mission accomplished. You got a bunch of normies now agreeing with a political assassination as a viable strategy, laudable, in fact. Catching up on my notes. Joe Saunders says, in the movie 2012, at 33 minutes and 11 seconds, Woody Harrelson pulls down the curtain with all the dead CEO news articles. I'll have to look. Woody Harrelson is another interesting one. He was in Fly Me to the Moon, about faking the moon landing, and he was part of the shadowy government operation that was above the president. In real life, he is connected to the conspiracy realm through his father, who was allegedly one of the 3 hobos at the JFK assassination. So you have a connection to him, his father, the JFK assassination, and his father, of course, went to prison for killing a judge. So there's that. RR says, there is a restructuring of social engineering happening. The useful players of the past, Diddy, Jay-Z, are being demonized. Enter new players. Yeah, that's something else too. Seems like they're phased. I kind of thought that was the case, that some of these characters have limited lifespans. Now, Joker has this parallel to Nick Fuentes, which we were kind of talking about, although Nick Fuentes is right, but there are certain aspects that are kind of interesting here, having to do with Nick Fuentes' relationship with Trump and how Trump betrayed him. He started suggesting that people vote for Harris because it would be better to have her so people really get the right person next, and that the next person they get will be more like Hitler. So he's already expressed this disappointment in his father figure. Well, Joker looked up to the De Niro character, Murray Franklin, who then later mocks him, and he sees it as a huge betrayal. You know, this father figure, you know, that he watches on TV because he didn't have a father. And so the assassination has that aspect to it. And it's kind of interesting that Fuentes has that kind of similar dynamic. RR says MK Ultra never ended. And I think this was also pointed out to me, and it stood out to me because I was informed that Fuentes is a, quote, test tube baby. And, you know, I don't know what that means other than he doesn't have a father. And so it kind of fits this strange Arthur Fleck kind of a incel basement dweller, and he lives in his mother's basement, sort of like the Joker lives with the mother. There's some fascinating parallels here. Not to get too sidetracked, but these characters are relevant. I mean, don't forget, the madness, the main character is basically Don Lemon. The antagonist, Mark Simon, is Stu Peters. The reporter, the conspiracy theorist reporter, Laura Jennings, is based on Laura Loomer. I mean, I sent her a message on Twitter. It's like, hey, they killed you in this Netflix movie, in case you're interested. I'd be interested if somebody put me in a Netflix movie and killed me with a nerve agent, simulating a heart attack. I'll put a link there to my eBay account if anyone is interested in the Joker painting. But the Robin Hood thing, yes, they've compared him to Robin Hood. It's like the people in that movie Natural Born Killers cheering a killer insane. But I'm also, again, contrasting these. Daniel Penny goes free. Subtext for the propaganda is racist vigilante goes free. Righteous vigilante goes to jail. The system is therefore backward. Got a comment here. This all screams scripted reality to me, says Anissa. Once again, too many cross-references, repeating patterns, and the brute force level of psychological operation. Impact on the collective psyche further reinforces the mind. Yeah, so this is something too. The saturation. I was at a dollar store, and the person in front of me was on some website, and they said to the cashier, they caught him. He was out of McDonald's. They caught the CEO shooter. So I wasn't even looking for the information, and it came to me unbidden because it's an inescapable echo chamber. The rest of the comment here reinforces in my mind simulation theory. Yeah, I'm not a simulation theorist, but there are basically two ways of looking at these events. One, our media is entirely controlled for the purposes of propagandizing us and mind controlling us. That's one possibility. The other, which isn't a possibility, but the other contention, is that we live in a simulation. I'm not a simulation theorist. In fact, I think simulation theory is a distraction from the fact that the mental map of the world we're given, which is an internal simulation, has been distorted by the powers that be with our consent. So here you go, BioWorld, Super Mario, Luigi, Pom Pom, Knit, Beanie Cap, 100,000 bought today. Unbelievable. This person was selling the right product at the right time. 100,000 plus bought today. So are we going to see leftist mobs with Luigi hats? I think we are. Now this is something I was wondering. Are they going to be able to start a riot in the winter? Isn't it too cold? Don't we need to wait? Now that I'm thinking about it, if they buy these beanie caps, maybe this is kind of signifying that this is going to be a winter riot or series of riots. And again, I'm correlating the green with Joker hair. AngstG says the movie called The King of Comedy has some Joker-like undertones, and both have Jerry Lewis and Robert De Niro in it. Fascinating. Lucid Sim says media is controlled within the sim. It's both in my mind. Well, if we're in a simulation, then everything is a simulation. But like I think the simulation theory is an attack on our cognition, and it's intended to eradicate objective reality. Like I would say the atom bomb did that. It destroyed objective reality and it put us into a movie-enhanced reality. You know, like superstitions don't exist, but they're inserted into your worldview. So your worldview is now enhanced with things that don't actually exist. And I think that's what the media primarily does, is they build on what is, but what is still exists. And my job here is to elucidate what is and to subtract what isn't. And what I've arrived at is that the target for the monolithic media is our minds, and specifically our frame of reference. They want us to view things through their particular viewfinder. And it creates a worldview as much by omission as direct propaganda, by what they do not pay attention to. But as far as the world being a matrix or something, no, I think that goes too far. I think that the goal here is to preserve your secure footing on objective reality. Like I say, the off-world stage perspective, we're outside of their sim. And if they can get you to say that reality doesn't exist, then why would you even watch the news? Why would you even care? If everything is a simulation, then you have no... I don't understand the objective. Like Mandela effect, for example. Once you discover the Mandela effect and you believe it to be real, doesn't it kind of invalidate the fake news? Because if the news is, if the reality is fake, the news is fake, obviously. And therefore there's no real news. How can you say this news is real, this news is fake, if we live in a simulation? It's all fake. Nothing's realer than anything else. So I'm not a relativist, I'm not a subjectivist, I'm not a simulation theorist. I'm actually opposed to that. And I would say that the IPS might be the only objectivist think tank on Earth. Because the objectivist society and all of its proponents have taken the mass media as objective reality from day one. Cope says simulation theory sounds like Mandela effect. Yeah, well, the Mandela effect is simulation theory. Mandela effect is based on the idea that reality is subjective, that there is no objective reality, and that the Mandela effect is evidence of simulation theory. Although the Mandela effect is provably a hoax. And I'm pointing out here that I think simulation theory is designed to get you to give up any sort of grasp on objective reality. Not to mention, it destroys your credibility as a witness. If you say to me that nobody died at this event, it was fake, but then you also say to me that the label on your cereal box is constantly changing, well, now I'm like, okay, well, you're not in objective reality. It's like you're not sober. You don't have any sort of standing here. But is this a simulation? I don't know. I have no evidence to support that. Is it all a dream? I don't know. My objective here isn't to mystify the facts. I'm trying to demystify, because one of the major problems, and this is a problem, one of the major problems within the truther community is this tendency to look at the evidence of psychological warfare and see it as evidence of God, to look at the movies as sending messages from a divine source. And I don't believe that the Hollywood directors, I don't think Steven Spielberg or James Cameron are working for God. They're working for government. All of their propaganda feeds toward big government agenda. So I don't think that God or a higher power or a simulation would have a hardline leftist agenda, progressive utopianism. It's too mundane. It's too human. 777 says, L Luigi versus right wing with the M. MAGA hats. Ooh, fascinating. Red and green. Yeah, I think it's interesting. We'll see if the Luigi hats are a thing and they're going to the people who support the shooter. Then we have something that relates to 2019 with the Joker mask. So the clown vigilantes putting on the Joker mask were reflected in the activists putting on the medical masks in 2020. So the masks were a reoccurring theme. Lucid says, sim theory means different things to everyone. It's an individual experience. Ultimately, I can't tell you or define your expert. Neither can mine define anyone else's, really. Well, that's subjectivism, is what I'm saying. Subjectivism says nobody's right, nobody's wrong. Nothing is inherently truer than anything else. It's just whatever you experience is valid. And you may say that's true, but that's for me, it means that you kind of have to give up on standards of evidence. And you also have to give up on standards, because now nothing is true. Everything is permitted. And I think that is the point. The power elite have created a system where you have a big box everyone is in, and within the box you can have any number of subjectivist belief systems, and you can coexist. So you can coexist left and right. You can coexist if you think the earth is flat or round. You can coexist with people who think the Mandela effect is real. It doesn't create any conflict. My issue with this is that these belief systems are observably not only false and unreasonable and illogical, but they're not, if reference is equally fake. Okay, let me open up my phones. Anyway, I don't know why we debate these things, other than I'm just trying to clarify my position. I'm not a religious person, and from the very beginning of this channel, I said that I am not going to endorse any sort of religion, because I'm focused on what is and on what we can know, not on belief systems. I'm trying to separate from belief systems. And simulation theory and Mandela effects, these are part of a belief system that doesn't have anything tangible to support it. And so it's not really compatible with an objective analysis of the facts as they are, even though ultimately all may be the case that we're in a video game. Not that I believe that. Or it might, let's say we give that a position here. Let's just entertain it. Well, if we're going to entertain sim theory, then we might have to entertain other theories as well. If we're going to say all the news is being scripted by an AI, then we need to give equal time to other possibilities as well. It could be God. Hey, what's up, caller?
Hey, the Jurassic, bro.
Hey, what's up, Jurassic? What's your take on this shooter thing? The fact that he ended up at McDonald's made me think of Donald Trump and his McDonald's PR stunt.
Well, before I get into what the real reason was, I called because of the codes in his. Hold on one sec. Sorry, man. the connection to Donald Trump was that supposedly Trump did his victory speech in 2016 at that hotel where that guy was staying.
Okay. Okay, so the CEO was shot outside the hotel where Trump gave his victory speech. Is that what you're saying? What was was it? Here it is. Hilton Hotel, Midtown Manhattan.
Right. Sorry, man, my throat all of a sudden I can't talk.
No, that's
Are you
fine.
there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah. So that was his victory speech in 2016. That was where it was at, and that Hilton is 47 floors, and Trump's going to be the 47, right? And this United Healthcare Group that this CEO, the guy who was shot, it was founded in 77, the year Elvis died, and the year Seattle still won the Triple Crown. So it's like 47 years later from that, because Elvis has been dead for 47 years now. So that's another 47. And then this guy was caught at McDonald's with the Donald connection, and it was at 407 Plank Street. So another 47 connection.
Okay, good. Do you have any connection to the killer is in McDonald's? They show him in a picture. He's holding a Happy Meal that has the Lion King on it. Make anything from that?
Well, I mean, other people have said stuff about it, but I didn't really look at that. But I have all the other codes, which I said to my viewers would be in this guy's name. You're going to see other codes. Once I saw the victim's name, I knew that he would have the codes, because I knew it is one of those unbelievable stories, if you know what I'm saying. So do you want me to go through the codes real quick?
Yeah, please do.
All right. So on his fake driver's license, this guy, for the people who don't know, this is what you're looking for. You're looking for the man and the sun and all their codes. Okay. So on his fake driver's license, the address street name was Sherman. Okay. So that's your first man in the story. Then the victim's name was Brian Tom's son. So now you have Sherman in the address of his fake address on his driver's license. The victim's name is Tom's son, so it's a son. Then the victim was killed in Manhattan. Okay, so you have the son and the man already in the victim's name and the place where it happened. The killer's name is Luigi Mangione. So there's another man. Okay, so the victim was Tom's son. Happened in Manhattan. Luigi Mangione was the killer. The killer lived in Towson, Maryland. There's your son again. Okay. And what was the words that guy was saying? Was it delay, deny, defund?
Yeah.
Or defend?
Yeah, exactly. It was
Okay.
based on that, but he changed one to depose, but it was the 3 Ds.
Depose, right. And the book was written by J. Fine Man. So you have another man in the story. He was the valedictorian. So you got the dick in the story, valedictorian 2016. And guess what the school name is? Gill Man. Okay? And he had a manifesto, again with the man. And his family is from Cockeysville, Maryland. And now the suspect's lawyer is named Thomas Dick E. So there it goes. So you got all the codes that I always tell you guys, the sexual innuendo codes, the man and son code. It's all sitting there with these ridiculous stories.
Great finds, especially the 407 and the 47 story building. Yeah, you definitely have predicted this before, that there's a pattern here with all of these various psyops. And it is true. I was talking earlier about how with any of the race war psyops, the number 42 is very prevalent. And in this latest one, Jordan Neely had 42 arrests. And that number, these number codes, these name codes, these are in fact consistent. I'm of the impression that this is just an actor, a glorified crisis actor, because there's too much story attached to it. What do you think? Is that your take, that this is all an act?
Yeah, especially the part where they were throwing him against the wall. That was so fake. I mean, first of all, they didn't even barely throw him up against the wall. It was totally fake. And him yelling those ridiculous things. The cops don't even look real, man. It looks so fake.
Someone pointed out it looked like the part where they brought Oswald out and he was surrounded by all those people, like they were recreating it. I kind of got that impression as well. So a commenter here, RR, says, I don't get what these codes mean, WTF. So you're listening to a channel who has been documenting media fakery like we do for a long time. And what he has noted, and this is a consistent thing, is that there are consistent patterns evident with all these hoaxes, which seems to be evidence of hoax in itself, some kind of internal communication, or it's all, I mean, how do you explain it? But basically, you have noted very specific names that are prevalent.
Well, yeah, like that's why I was telling them, like Charles Mann's son, O.J. Simpson kills a Ron Gold man, and the guy playing the Bloody Glove is Detective Fur Man. And then you had Johnny Cochran as the lawyer. You know, it's always they're mocking us. You know, 9/11 happened in Manhattan. You know, you had. I'll give you a different example. Like the president was, that President Richard Nixon. They called him Tricky Dicky because his name is Richard. Richard's Dick, Tricky Dicky. And then you had the Watergate scandal during that, and the prime person in that case was Deep Throat. So you have Tricky Dicky with Deep Throat, right?
A lot of innuendo,
Right.
a lot of double entendres and symbolism. And we often point out the numbers here, but yeah, so there's another element to it here, and it is consistent. I don't spend a lot of time with gematria, but it is evident that there is a form of you can do some deciphering and you can find it.
Just like George Bush, who was his running mate. It was what's his name? Dick Cheney. So you had the Bush and the Dick, and Bill Clinton, when he was in office, they were calling him Slick Willie, which sounds like Lick Willie, and he had his Willie licked.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
I mean, this is all sick, but you think about it. Think about how all of the salacious stuff that we've been fed through Trump from the beginning, where it's like you're sleeping with an adult film star, grab her by the, like, it's just unbelievable how it's gone so just low, but they still think he's like God. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. It is. It's ridiculous. Yes. And anyway, bro, I was just calling. Yeah, you know my theory on it. It's totally fake.
Well, put a link to your channel because
I don't know how to do that.
Okay, I'll have somebody else do it. I'll have someone else put a link there.
All right, bro. I
appreciate the call. Yeah, so this is a call from Jurassic Liars, who has just noted a long stream of and look, there are evidences here of sick attempts at humor in the writing of these stories. It's consistent. I mean, look at what was it? Space fakery. I mean, I don't really want to get into it, but you can find many examples where they're obviously making up stories because it contains innuendo. All right. Interesting call. We're talking about Kill the Rich, a new movement. This is a manufactured folk hero. So the fact that this is a perfect hero ready to market and that it's already been purchased by 100,000 people, this hat, to me, this is so perfect. It has to be engineered. This is like the Haktua girl. How is this any different? They can sell people anything. They can make any character go viral with any story attached. And I think this is what we're seeing right here. A manufactured entity. Nothing about this is random. This is a lifetime role. So, and Infinite Plane Radio.
Hey, Tim, it's Leo Pirate.
Hey, what's up? Hey, really quick, let me add one comment. Bach Precision says, I first noticed their vulgar inside jokes with the Anthony Weiner story. Exactly. Think Shakespeare. Shakespeare is vulgar. We're talking about the world stage, and it is indeed full of vulgarities. So, anyway, hey, what's up, Leo Pirate?
Yeah, hey, certainly, yeah. The innuendos are I can't tell if it's either in a mix of inside jokes or some form of low level, like we had talked about that before, like really low level Freudian associations, like how these bifurcated psyops, it was like they're trying to seize our wombs, trying to seize our guns, and the male and female aspect to it. I don't really know why, but they do that.
Freudian.
Even
Freudian.
in names.
Look, never forget the obelisk. The symbol of the god of the world is literally something obscene. And the rockets that we talk about in this the space program that take you to the Neo Heaven are nothing more than obelisks with a bit of more theater attached to it. Some dramatic launches, but these are indeed obelisks. And if you want to get into the esoteric side of these religious cults, it does get pretty explicit. But anyway.
Yeah, and I wonder, so you're talking tonight about Luigi Mangione, or the CEO thing. Did you get into the Riddler aspect, or did you only focus on the Joker aspect?
I mentioned the Riddler aspect to him because the Riddler, like the Joker, were both similarly victims of society, mentally ill, striking back, and therefore they become sort of heroes of the oppressed.
Okay, so what it is I guess this could be an example of like a synchronicity or a movement or like something that pushed me in this direction. But 2 weeks ago, it was like first time I had seen Batman 2022, the one with Robert Pattinson and Paul Dano Riddler. You mentioned a lot in your show, but I hadn't seen it before. First time, decided to watch it, and right afterwards, like all this stuff started going down, and it's crazy. So visually, in his appearance, like he had the first images we saw of the guy, he had very much of a covering his face, and the craziest thing is that surveillance footage was the first thing we were shown. There was a comic book that came out the same year as Batman 2022. It was called, it was like Batman One Bad Day, the Riddler. This comic starts off, the very first beginning of it, before the credits even start in the comic book, it begins with surveillance footage of the Riddler shooting someone in the back out in the open in a cold and calculated way and walking up to the camera and smiling. And it lines up, some guy on YouTube did a voiceover of it years ago, right? He did a voiceover of it. And if you take his voiceover and put it over the surveillance footage, it is crazy. Because it's a police officer looking at it's just looking at the surveillance footage, the full frames. He even's like, right hand, he takes a shot, puts the gun down, walks over. And it says, and we got this on Monday, and he was taken in on Monday, right? Like it's on my website. It's like mindwar.page if you want to look at that breakdown. But
okay, I did see that clip. I did see it where it was posted in Gilded, and yeah, it did seem to be almost a pre-creation of yes. So yes, okay, I got to the links there, and the what is it? The thing is, once he was arrested, there was that CEO shooter lookalike contest where a bunch of people came out they were dressed as if like the Riddler's anonymous army from that movie. It was like the sunglasses and the jackets with breast pocket it was uncanny, just like how much it was coming, kind of mirroring that view. You already talked about the thematic elements, the class warfare parts. You probably remember that he had used a Tucker. I looked into it, news media outlets that were reporting on his posts. A lot of people are trying to say, what is his political leanings? Is he left or he's right? Oh, he's left. People are saying, no, he's not left wing. He was a big fan of Tucker Carlson. And there are posts that were going over that. Well, the thing with the Riddler kills in the movie, he kills, his weapon is called a Tucker. And one of the correlations there was, at the time of the Batman movie, Tucker Carlson's online presence was being blamed for people committing violence, specifically the Buffalo supermarket shooting. And so Tucker sent the shooter. Tucker is the weapon of the online extremists who are going out into the street. So there was that element to it. But anyway, please continue. And one more thing here, the 128 code. So 128 is when Robinhood stopped users from buying shares of GameStop. Do you remember that whole fiasco?
Oh, yeah.
So there may be some other aspect to it here, the symbol of the little guy taking on Wall Street. So you have Robin Hood, this righteous.
Robin Hood, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, probably another connection.
No, absolutely. So you in the Gilded, you were talking about Robin Hood, Luigi, and the Riddler, all green. Green is the color that they're associated with. So yeah, after he got taken in, this is going to sound ridiculous to people because I don't think the audience here is that young, but there's a big, a meme amongst younger people in their slang. They use the term riz, like to riz someone up. And if someone's so good at rizzing people, they're called the Rizzler. I know that sounds like really silly and stupid to people, but it's a real slang term used amongst younger people. It's like the Rizzler. Well, once all those pictures of him started circulating of him shirtless, some of my younger friends who had read my article said, like, he's transformed into the Rizzler now. And I thought that was, I don't know, I just thought that was funny. But his name, Luigi Mangione, that's significant because I have it archived and linked on my blog post, but there was a really popular game on X or Twitter where it was like Find Luigi. And it was like this kind of generated thing where it's like, it shows all the Nintendo characters and you had to find Luigi in these moving images, right? It was viral, really popular in the weeks leading up to the shooting. And when it occurred, one user quote retweeted or replied to an announcement that said NYPD is out looking for the CEO shooter. And as a joke, they said, it's like when you're looking for a 5'10" white guy in New York City, and they posted a version of the game, the Find Luigi game. And then that was before they knew that the shooter's name was Luigi. So
Interesting.
That's another form. Yeah, so another form, even in social media, there's some form of priming. So that's one example with the Luigi connection. And the other is back in May of 2024, a very viral AI-generated slideshow thing that was on Instagram Reels, reposted to YouTube. I have it archived and posted on my site. It was a less than 1 minute short of it's kind of very inappropriate, but it's still targeted towards children. Some of the jokes in it are inappropriate, but it's called Dr. Mario AI lore, like backstory lore. And the joke is that it's Mario and Luigi. They're going about their day. Luigi slips and he breaks his back, and Mario and Luigi are in the hospital, and the bill is so expensive, his health insurance doesn't cover it. So that's why Mario becomes Dr. Mario.
Oh, he becomes
And
Dr. Mario.
that-
Okay, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Because of Luigi. Well, it's a joke video. It's like a meme video. It's only less than a minute long. But back in May 20, so way before, like 30 weeks ago, there was a very viral, popular Instagram Reel video that basically has Luigi breaking his back, and this guy on Luigi's social media header, isn't there like an X-ray scan of his back, right? And basically the whole story is the reason why Mario became Dr. Mario is because Luigi was denied health insurance coverage.
Okay, that would tie into Luigi's manifesto. Hey, got a question here. 1-800-SHED-DOG says that you're a notorious troll in many circles. Where is he getting this from? Do you sound like some other troll?
So, yeah, this guy is saying what a lot of people say. I'm a genuine Christian, and I actually believe what I talk about. But a lot of people in that like sector circle, they don't. Tons of people say stuff like space is fake or this news event is fake just because they like getting a reaction out of people. And that's like the kind of sector group that, Shed Dog probably knows me from.
Okay.
I'm not like that.
So he thinks you're a Poe.
I'm like, right. So you see, yeah, lots of people from that milieu, if you will, from that group are like that. But I'm not. And that's actually, I get it a lot from my friends. They often think that I'm just being contrarian when I say a story is fake so I'm not. Like, I actually believe it. Unfortunately, a lot of my friends are like exactly what Shed Dog would describe. They like saying that stuff just because it gets under people's skin. Like, I'm not like that. I mean,
really? I say I don't know any serious media skeptics or auto hoaxers that troll with the news that stuff is fake in that way. Because we're kind of insulated. We're our own thing. We're not confronting people with it to get a rise.
Oh yeah, and they don't do research either. I probably shouldn't even call them contacts. People I know from that circle. In fact, I think some of even Fuentes' followers at one point they went around saying stuff like space is fake just to get a reaction out of people. None of them do any research or looking at it. They just like doing that. But you're right. It's not an odd hoaxing thing. It's not.
Well, it's not a skeptical
Anyway.
thing, because if you're doing it, like, for example, the people say birds are fake. The birds are fake movement was a fake conspiracy that came out of Parkland in order to, I guess the idea was to ridicule those who are legitimately calling things fake, as though calling something fake is inherently ridiculous. But who are they trolling when they're actually advocating on behalf of the mainstream media, when they're actually, in fact, doing damage control? If you look at it as an unserious labeling of things as fake when they are actually fake. So it's like, are they really trolling themselves? Because who are they trolling? Because if they're saying, oh, this stuff is fake, but they're doing it mockingly and they don't believe it's fake, but it is fake and they don't know it, then what I'm saying is it's kind of like self-clowning.
Yeah, well, and that's what it is. It's about making fun of people like you and I who do real research. So let's just make it seem silly, right? By introducing those kinds of things. But to be absolutely clear, I've been consistent always. What I am a Christian. I believe in Christ, and it's like I talk about these things, and for some reason, Tim, that pisses people off. For some, I'm serious. I don't have any. I've never taken any donations. I have no way of accepting money, so I'm not like, what is it? These, like you said, parody of extremism, a Poe. I'm not popular. Like, I do not. So, but yeah, it's something that lots of people say. When I say lots of people who don't know me. So.
Right. Well, anyway, to me, it's not all that. It doesn't matter to me. What I care about are the observations, the perspectives, the ideas. I'm not trying to judge people's intentions. And when somebody says they believe something, I take them at their word. But so if somebody says I believe this, I have to agree.
Yeah, sure. And it doesn't. You were talking about that earlier. Like even the synchro mystics and stuff, we may not come to the same conclusion as them, but their research is great, right? Like it's the same exact thing. Like
Yep.
You and I obviously have different worldviews. That's fine. You and I have different beliefs. That's fine. That's like totally fine. And it's like not the purpose of this think tank. But yeah, the weird thing is like I'm not a contrarian, right? Is someone who shapes their beliefs around the reactions of other people. That is never factored into any of my auto hoaxing or research. Like I could care less if everyone thought a story was fake. And it actually, you know what I mean? Like the world stage audience reaction is irrelevant. It can be used as a heuristic. It could be like, lots of people are thinking, right? But that's not the actual evidence or proof that I use for any of my takes. So I loathe being called a contrarian because the implication is that I came to my conclusion based on what other people think.
Yeah, exactly. I say that I'm anti-anti. Like I'm anti the pro because that's the default position, but I'm also anti the anti. The contrarian, the one who could be perceived as a knee-jerk reactionary whose response is just a counter to the others. No, like this is not a response in that sense to just what the other side is saying. Anyway, I got another caller coming in. I appreciate the input as always, and have a great evening.
Thanks. Bye.
Infinite Plane Radio.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, is this Josh?
Sebastian.
Oh, okay, Sebastian. Okay, what's up?
Yeah. Hi, yo. We spoke 2 days before on Discord. We're talking about the circling sun in Antarctica.
Yes. In 4 days, they will arrive in Antarctica, and they will be observing a 24-hour sun. What does that mean to you if they do, in fact, see a sun for 24 hours?
Well, it doesn't really show us everything because you asked me before. I told you about Q&V. He sees things way different. If you take 3 positions on each longitude, and you model this up. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go on. I remember what you were saying. Q&V.
Yeah, and you asked me if I can put a modeling video on Discord in the think tank, and I put one video. He is debunked Jeranism with this circling sun model.
Oh yes, I got that video from you. I just started watching it, and I have it in my list of links here. Okay, I do got that one.
Okay, nice, because it the thing is, we talk about synchronizing people, like they're doing. And the thing is, and the thing is, if you model this up, the thing is, we have if you take an angle to the sun with the official data from UNESCO or whatever, then you will see that we all look at our sightseeing. Our seeing is not uniform. We have a mean sun. Our apparel sun, as we see it, is not uniform. And I think this is a thing to synchronize us all to having a mean sun, just to do celestial navigation with. But it tells us that our seeing, our sight to the sun, our angle to the sun is all different. It's different when we have it on 3 different locations on the world. I don't know if I make sense.
Yeah. How does that work? Does that mean that our experienced reality is actually something of a projection / hallucination or simulation? Is that what that entails?
No, I can't tell what it is, because it's just, the thing is just that we all have our own sights, our own seeing, and we can take this with official data from different sites, or Sunkalk, Stellarium, all those. But this data is 100% accurate. This is how people see it. These are our observations. But if we do this when we're at each other, when we spoke to each other live, in person, then we see the same. We have the same angle. But if you do this on three different locations, for example, on 3 different continents, you will see that it won't triangulate. We don't have the same sun.
So if we were to find listeners in 3 different sections of the world, could we coordinate this and then go from there? Okay.
Yes, because you will see, and it's in the video that I put on the think tank in Discord. You will see that this is just a thing. This is just 100% actual data as we observe, and it doesn't triangulate on 3 different locations. It's a huge problem. So, and it just matches up with everything we talk about, the synchronizing of people, having the same world view. It's crazy, man.
Now, does this in any way negate the significance of a 24-hour visible sun at the alleged South Pole?
Because it doesn't tell us anything. Because if we don't have a circling sun, if we see 24-hour sunlight in Antarctica, then still, if you do this on multiple locations on Antarctica, because Antarctica is so-called huge, big, then it still has a problem.
Okay,
so
I'm going to have to look into this because this is interesting to me. I've heard this before. I would like to see something done to demonstrate it, and it wouldn't be hard if it only requires 3 individuals.
Yeah, indeed. And for example, in the video that I put on the think tank, there's also a U.S. old navigational video. It's really old. It's from the 60s, I think, 50s. And if you watch it, it's very easy to understand this stuff, because you can do it, and you will see it doesn't triangulate. It doesn't go. We all have our sunrise at 90 degrees, and we have this all on everywhere on the planet. So if you model this up with if you model this up with official data, just using a protractor or something, you will see we don't triangulate. Especially if the sun is so thousands of miles away, or millions of miles away, and yeah, it's just crazy. The gap between the 2 lines are huge, millions and millions and millions of kilometers, miles, and you will see this.
Now, Charming Anarchist in the comments says, The reason everybody sees the sun at different angles from different places is not a problem. Rather, it makes sense because light does not travel in a straight line above our head. It bends. Light bends.
Yeah, the refractions, bendy light. Yeah, it could be, but just learn this thing, and then if this isn't true, then I'm done. But if you do this, you will see that it doesn't. It doesn't work. It doesn't work on a globe. It doesn't work on a flat plane. So
I'm going to watch that video in its entirety tonight and think about this a little closer. And I've heard this referred to as stereographic flat Earth, but it is what I've been asking for. I'm asking, what are the possible implications of a 24-hour sun? Does it necessarily therefore mean we must all jump on board Team NASA? And that's just not going to happen, in my view. Just
in my view also.
Like, okay, maybe they could convince me it's a perfect, that this model is what they say it is, but that still doesn't make the fake news real. It still doesn't make the liars truth tellers. Like, we're still dealing with lies on a scale that is unfathomable to people who are under the impression that the media is there to give us information, to keep us informed, and to enlighten us. It's like, no, the information they give us is to conform us to a prefabricated worldview and history, and always has been.
Yeah, exactly. It's like exactly what you say. Yeah.
Well, thank you for the call, and I do have a link to that video, so I will make it a point to talk about it first thing tomorrow so we can get that into the conversation before the 14th, which is going to be Saturday. That's when we're going to first see McToon and Witsit Gets It out there in the land of the penguins.
In the land of the penguins. And I don't even know if Antarctica exists, but okay.
Yeah, that's another question. Does Antarctica exist as they say? The concept with is that it's either a landmass at the perimeter that's been falsely described as a singular landmass, or it's a series of disparate continents in a circle, and one of them has been designated Antarctica, or there's a couple and there's some kind of a shell game going on. I mean, has anybody suggested that the trip to Antarctica is some kind of a ruse and they're not going to actually be where they say they are?
Well, the thing is, all those trips to Antarctica are all, in my opinion, full of shit. If you look at all the stories, the photos, when they tell you it's 60 degrees, minus 60 degrees, and they're just walking around with normal clothes, going for scientific methods, learning scientifics at the Antarctics, and they're just killing animals and all the things. It doesn't. I don't know. And it's like all history, like you tell us sometimes before. They just make history.
Yeah, and, I'm a skeptic about.
They can bend it like they want.
Yeah, people say people recognize readily. They fake the news, therefore our history is fakeable and has been faked to a large degree. What makes anyone think that they're completely honest with cartography? Like they wouldn't screw with that. So.
Yeah, how did they do that? For instance, cartography in the years 1500s. We talked about this before with Mercator and John Dee. How did they in the 1500s are so accurate?
Yeah, John Dee's an enigmatic figure. I wonder, how was he an advisor on these voyages of exploration from his tower where he's summoning ghosts and messing with telescopes with the intention of communicating with stars like as other intelligent entities? I mean, he wasn't looking at stars the way we do today. He had a completely different mindset, and I wonder, what was he doing with the map maker, with the cartographer Mercator? And then why were they talking about the North Pole having some magnetic mountain? Like, I would rather some of these individuals go to the North Pole. It'd be way more fruitful than going to the so-called South Pole.
Yeah, but there's nobody that showed us evidence about a 33 in circumference magnetic stone. It was right?
Correct. 33 miles in circumference, magnetic stone, in the center of it all, some big black rock. And to me, that sounds believable for some reason. Given the sources, I mean, I think so.
it could be, but I've never shown there's never shown me evidence of this, and I don't know. You know, it's all speculation, like if even Antarctica exists or not. So I don't
Right.
know.
Well,
I'm really out of hoaxing everything, I think.
yeah, I agree with that approach. I think that is the only sane approach. Even Minds.com had this motto they put out there. It was disbelieve by default. So thank you for the call, and I will definitely follow up on this and check out this other concept to explain the sun.
Yeah, you have the public, so if you can manage to have 3 guys or whatever, or a girl, of course, and they just on their locations, they shoot an angle to the sun, and then just with the grid system, using a coordinate system, and then just model this up with a protractor on a flat plane or a ball or whatever, you will see it doesn't triangulate. So this is just a huge problem for them. So
all right,
yeah,
intriguing.
I'm really curious about how what your view after you've seen this, and I'm really curious what your view on this is.
Okay, I will definitely take a look. It has me thinking, and it makes a lot of sense if you're open to variants of simulation theory or man as co-creator. So I'll look into it. Thanks again for the call.
Yeah, no problem, man. Have a nice day.
All right. So the video he's talking about is in the Discord, and I will put it in the notes below so you can check it out as well. N.A. Literalist says BlackRock rules the world. Patricia Steer says hi from X. Yeah, BlackRock in the middle of the world, according to Mercator, in a letter sent to 007 John D. And John D was a wizard. And all of the rituals that people do today in the New Age circles, whether it be Satanists or Wiccans or any other variant that involve the magic circle and the invocation of the cardinal directions and elements, that all comes from John D. And he famously would communicate to entities through a black stone, which kind of like an iPhone. You know, you all have your little black rock, your black stone. But his whole thing was talking to angels and obtaining from them some kind of a language. And with this was able to somehow, I guess, command the powers of the angels. A very interesting character. Mercedes says, this feels like hell on earth, sick of all the fuckery. Yeah, look, the good news is this is probably it. I mean, this is as hell as it's going to get. We're on the bottom of the universe, in my opinion. We're in the bottom of the universe, and it doesn't get any lower. Yeah, the scrying mirror is what they call those. Unless John D had an iPhone. Like it could be. I've considered the possibility that the elite have been technologically advanced for a long time, and they just keep us in the dark about it. And all the stories of magic and stuff could have just been peasants looking at what they perceived as magic, but it's really just the elite with their gadgets. Charming Anarchist says the Kibla is supposed to be a black stone too. Well, yeah, the black cube is one of the emblems of this realm. I would even say that it represents the material realm that we occupy. It's the black cube, which has all kinds of connotations to it. But the world stage drama that we talk about all the time, the symbols that are consistently used throughout it, often point to this black rock thing as a central figure. You know, like, for example, we were talking about the Burning Man, 419, the guy who set himself on fire, and the symbol of the Burning Man, which relates to all of this. The Burning Man festivals take place in Black Rock City, Nevada. And what we have found is that there's a consistent body of symbols that are blocked together, and it all ties into Saturn and the sun. And the Saturn represents time and space, constraints and control. In fact, we were talking about Megalopolis the other day, where the men in black, who look like the strangers from Dark City, are the time controllers. And they all have the hats with the black rim, which recalls Saturn. So what you're looking at are the rulers of this realm who control time. And that's in Megalopolis, a movie which also directly references The Matrix. And these connections go deep, but the Dark City references in Megalopolis are worth looking at because they have this group called the Design Authority. So the Design Authority are the Brotherhood of Saturn, or whatever you want to call them, the rulers of this place who control time. And they do control time. If they control all the fake news, the big historic events that we all live through and think are real, they do control time. They control the course of history. They steer it. They make history. They make history every single day. Fake news, if you noticed, sticks around and it becomes history. All the fake news that we've ever analyzed, going back as far back as we've looked, is not presented as fake in the history books. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the CEO shooter and his connection to the Joker archetype and kill the rich and this movement, the clown vigilante, and the motivation being class warfare, working class against the upper class. The Robin Hood connections are there. No one's explained this to my satisfaction yet. The unibrow was absent on the CCTV footage. That's kind of weird. There are also many reports happening right now of drones over Jersey. No one knows what they are. We're still waiting for that story to develop. Okay, here we go. Police uncovered a 262-word handwritten manifesto where he's taken responsibility. The note criticizes companies profiting at the expense of the public. To save you any lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. So we're supposed to believe that he took action on his own. He sacrificed his life, his wealth. He didn't do it for the money. He's a better class of criminal like the Joker. But truly, to me, this is just, again, another manufactured hero, an actor. He's a glorified crisis actor, sort of like Trump. It makes more sense to look at them as actors, but specifically actors in psyops or crisis actors. Here's one of my favorite quotes. William Casey, CIA director, we will know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. I would say mission accomplished, CIA. Mission accomplished. Okay, Joe JDS said, in the movie Loser from 2000, they showed the Twin Towers and the arch in Central Park. And at 22 minutes, you see the towers through the arch, which is said to be the best way to watch the towers fall. I'll have to look at that. But one of my reoccurring contentions here is that predictive programming is preparing us for the staged events of the future. And that we're pre-sold scenarios in advance. They're presented to us like marketing, like advertisements, just repetitive propaganda. And the way that you relate to these characters can then be transferred to characters on the world stage. And that's why it was so easy for people to associate this guy with someone they see as righteous, the Joker, or Robin Hood. So we talk about this quite a bit because it's this pattern that we observe. And with 9/11, we did see a pattern of the public being presented with this scenario in advance, drawing our attention to it like a magician, where they tell you where to look. Speaking of magicians, I was rewatching the Trump shooting, and he spent a good 30 seconds with his right arm up pointing at the sign, and he said, look at the sign, look at the statistics on immigrants, look at this, look at that. And he just keeps his arm up the entire time. Then the shooting happens. But if you look, everybody behind him is looking at the sign. Nobody's looking at him directly. Classic misdirection. So no one's paying attention. And that was also obviously, I think, a cue that, yeah, he's ready. Anna Nicole Wardsmith says, good point. I know they will purposefully slaughter people, then put evidence that doesn't line up so truthers deny it. They look like insensitive a-holes to people who are affected. We're talking about the shooter, and Anna Nicole says, she says that she believes people are actually being killed in these events. And that's fine. You know, I don't even try to argue the point. A lot of people in this area of research think it's real. They think people are dying. And that's largely based on the appeal to motive fallacy, where they've internalized the idea that the bad guys are so bad that of course they would do this. Of course human life means nothing. One of the most controversial things right now is that nobody's dying at these events. That's a controversial opinion. The opinion that people did die is a low information belief with nothing to substantiate it but this appeal to motive fallacy. But you'll never arrive at the full truth until you look at a hoax as a hoax and not a false flag. So here's a video where the actor playing the shooter here, well, he's a lifetime actor. I mean, his real persona is being sacrificed for this role. But here he is being taken into the jail, and it does look phony. It does look staged, and it does seem reminiscent of Oswald, when Oswald was taken in. And he's allowed to say something, quote, completely out of touch. It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people. The American people. So he said something there that, of course, it's going to be, I don't know. I think we're looking at sort of a new Unabomber type, where people are going to agree with them. His family released a statement. They're devastated by the news. A little background on the family. This is not a two-dimensional character, as they usually are. Generally, they kill them off, or they're too crazy to talk because they're not really well thought out or characters with any depth. But this one has some. Okay, let me catch up on your comments. Shed Dog says, have you connected Luigi to the Super Mario Brothers 1993 film? I haven't yet. Although, you know, the 1993 film does have the Twin Towers being taken out, doesn't it? I think King Koopa. And doesn't King Koopa have some Donald Trump connections? Here we go. This is the scene. Super Mario Brothers, the Twin Towers.
Yeah, it's a dinosaur world.
Dinosaur world.
Yeah, we were locked in this tower by big lizardy type things.
And rescued by plumbers, right? Come on, Jake. This is a waste of...
Somebody said this is a bad movie. That was Shed Dog. It actually looks kind of good to me, but I have probably bad taste in movies.
Hey, you can't go in there.
Look!
What is?
So there's the Twin Towers. Now what's going to happen here? I think it's predictable. The Twin Towers were built to fall. Twin Towers are just two big crisis actors. This was their intention before they even built them. Crisis towers. Now, I'm trying to find the right clip here where the towers vaporize. Here it is. 1993 and the World Trade Center. Those guys will do anything for publicity. Fascinating. There you have it. Another movie where these things fall down. And there are so many of them. It's so pervasive. You know, we're not talking about anomalies. We're not talking about these random things that might be explained away as coincidence. No, we're talking about systemic fakery. That is true. The fakery is systemic. It's intrinsic. It's structural. And it's part of what media is. If you're not emphasizing fakery first as the primary thing, you're lost. If you think people are dying because you think it's real, you're lost. And a lot of people are lost, but that's because they're looking at it through the wrong lens. They've accepted a faulty premise. But their research and hard work does uncover valuable information. So just because a lot of our researchers in this arena aren't apprised of the full truth. It doesn't invalidate their information. So here's an example of something. In the new movie Jackpot with John Cena, he calls in a phone strike and people's phones start blowing up.
Yes. Thank you, my friend.
Do you remember when, back in September, all those phones were exploding in people's pockets?
Give me your phone. Give me your phone. Give me your fucking phone!
What is a phone strike?
Let's find out.
We have so many examples of major news stories having some obvious and direct correlation to what's in the entertainment at that exact time. So that guy's pants were on fire. This is exactly what they were reporting. This just came up in my feed. I have a pretty good collection of predictive programming going back. So when I say it's systemic, it's intrinsic, it's built into the system, that's what I mean. It's not like a few fake trees here and there. The entire forest is fake. Okay, we covered a lot of ground. This is an ongoing developing story, but my case for fakery is based on A, no evidence it was real, and B, it has way too many tie-ins, and it has too obvious of a storyline that is designed to engage the public, and the public is entirely engaged in this. And this is also a huge schism or a fracture, where if there was going to be any unity, which I didn't think there was, this would just kill it. This highlights the distinction between the two sides. So here you have, look, liberal TikTokers openly threatening CEOs and billionaires, telling them they should be scared. So you have people putting on their costume, just like this individual, and soon they're all going to be wearing green Luigi hats. Can't wait for that. Drones over Jersey, still a big story. Marjorie Taylor Greene got somebody killed. She says she's heartsick. What happened was this. She called in a fake bomb. You know how she needs attention sometimes, and so she swats herself. Well, she swatted herself. She doesn't say it here, but basically here's her story. An innocent woman died in an auto accident involving a member of the Rome Police bomb squad who were coming to my house to respond to a threat. She's called in she's claimed that she's dealt with swattings before, which is nonsensical. I don't think it's feasible. In her case, her security would preempt an actual SWAT team being deployed. But apparently she had a bomb threat, so she had to call the police and cause an accident. Somebody died. And she's saying that this is the unintended consequence of people making threats. No, I'm saying this is the unintended consequence of people crying wolf. Just catching up on a few of my bookmarks. I try to keep up with things people send to me. Daniel Penny had a tattoo of Samson strangling a lion. And this looks like Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely. That is an interesting connection. Whoever posted that. And again, I brought up the Daniel Penny story because the day he's released, Luigi's taken in. And each is a vigilante, one from the right, one from the left. And the fact that one gets taken in and the other released would communicate to the left that the system is corrupt and it rewards criminals and punishes heroes. I mean, this really does illustrate the political divide and how effectively unsolvable it is. Two different worlds coexisting barely. Okay, let me see what else we have here. Kiddo Core says, if people were actually dying during these events, there'd be undeniable evidence on social media like LiveLeak. Yeah, exactly. It would be real. It would look real. They would want to rub it in your face. You would think that if these children died at this one thing, they would want to shock you with the atrocity propaganda. They wouldn't hold back as they have. No, they would definitely show us, and there would be leaks. There's also another reason why they wouldn't fake these things, because these are propaganda movies. These are drills. They don't kill people in drills. And these people participating in psychological operations, whether they're actors, law enforcement, DHS, the first responders, hospitals, fire department, they are all bound by NDAs. And if anything illegal happens, the NDA is invalidated. And that specifically would include murder. So no, nobody's dying at these events. The lie that people are dying is what helps to maintain the illusion. I call it the Bloody Guardrail. And until you get over the Bloody Guardrail, you're not going to reach the off-world stage. So that Anna Nicole Wordsmith does some great content, but she thinks people are dying. And when you think people are dying, it reframes everything in a very fundamental way. It's not all that productive. It's not accurate. But I think what it does primarily is it maintains this conspiratorial view of this murderous elite that are ultimately powerful. And a lot of the people who espouse this idea that people are dying also believe in stuff like weather weapons and a lot of other things that are hyperstitions. If there's fear attached or blood attached to it, then it's fake. 777 says, we Nintendo nerds are happy to be acknowledged on the world stage. Right, and I said world stage, and earlier we had Jurassic Liars call in, and he was just bringing up the various names that indicate you're looking at world stage actors. That was the point of the call, that there is a code, or there are codes, there are names, there are numbers that are always present in these things that are definitely indicative of some kind of script, some subtext. And oftentimes the names have direct relevance to the person's role on the world stage. Eccentric View says, I had a friend get angry at me and then block me on social media because I said I believe the Trump assassination was fake. You know it's fake. Or you could say you're informed in your disbelief because you looked into it, and the more information you got, the further away from believing it you became. So it's not like you're just contrarian, but your friend is a low information believer. But the fact that they got angry and blocked you shows how it's irrational. They can't even confront it like an adult. That is actually kind of sad. But that's typical. They're in their box. Boxes within boxes. I'm not in a box. And I'm at the point where we're going to have to confront the fact that most people are going to either be confronted with this and they're going to experience a paradigm shift or a paradigm shock. But most people who confront this are going to experience some kind of dramatic reaction. It's just a matter of how accepting they are to it. Those who don't just hand wave it away. The truthers are generally going to be confronted with a sense that they've been, they've already been lied to by the mainstream, and they feel like they found the truth, but they're going to have to confront the fact that they've been lied to by alternative media. Alternative media is just as bad as mainstream. It's actually the other side of the coin. But the big reveal here is that all of the major world stage events are contrived for the purposes of the power elite's worldview monopoly. They're creating chapters in our history. Why would they leave anything to chance? They don't need to kill people. They're effective at simulating it. It's not about killing people. It's not about physically subjugating us. It's about creating the perception they are, and it's about mentally subjugating us. It's about mentally getting us to comport to their box. And I would say it's a win. It's a win when you confront somebody with a fact and the only thing they can do is run from it. They back away from it. You're doing them a favor. Like, isn't it good news? Hey, good news, that fireman didn't die. It's kind of bad that he's a liar and an opportunist who scammed a lot of people, but it's good that he's not dead. I wouldn't want him dead. But no, they run from the good news. It's paradoxical, but as a rule, I maintain that you cannot communicate to somebody from outside of their box. When I talk to normies, I have a normie frame of reference. If I talk to truthers, it's a little different, because I'm in the process now of challenging them, but I know where they're coming from. You have to know where everyone's coming from. So those messages aren't going to get through. I went out to a Trump rally on Halloween, and I told a bunch of Trumpers as they were coming out of the buses that it was fake. Nobody died. That Trump used ketchup and smeared it on his ear. Nobody wanted to hear. Their response was to weakly laugh, or it was to huddle together like sheep. Like they physically, bunch of strangers in MAGA hats, physically huddled together against me, forming like a shell, like a superorganism. They collectivized. Like they formed together because they're all of one mind. And here I am, a threat. So like we have to circle the wagons here. This guy has a hot skull. We wouldn't want to hear what he's saying. Eccentric View says, thanks for the sanity, Tim. I did a conversation with JLB last night. You'll hear it in a few days. Good, I look forward to it. JLB does some very interesting work, and his Conversation series is 100% worth it. So if you want to join JLB.com, I would say do so. I'm on there. I think I've been on Conversation several times. And he's one of the leading synchromystics. I'm a critic of synchromysticism as much as I'm a critic of simulation theory, but there is a place for the study and the discussion of synchronicity. There's a time and a space for it, which is, so it's not entirely a separate conversation, but it's outside the purview of media analysis, in my opinion. But I do think it's worth talking about. I'm just trying to gain clarity and trying to take a position rooted in objective reality in a world gone mad, gone totally subjective. All right, this has been very interesting as always. I want to say thanks everyone for their comments. We have 350 plus live listeners, not including the audio stream, so we're probably closer to 400. Roxy W says, saying deaths are fake is met with ire, stifling investigation. Well, it's the facts. It's the truth. And the truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth. But the thing is, we are correct. And we know that the rest aren't. And it's not going to do us any good to try to win their approval. We're at a point where we can stand on what we know and break away. There are enough of us. When we get all the people together who know how fake it is, and we form the separate branch of media, the parallel media, we won't care what they think. That's what I mean when I say we don't want to breathe their air. We don't need it. We're not trying to curry favor. We're not trying to reach a middle ground. We're not attempting to dilute our message or in any way. This is why I'm against relativism. I don't think that all viewpoints are equally valid. There's right and there's wrong. There are various interpretations that might be right in certain respects, but when it comes down to the fundamentals, we have to recognize bad models need to be replaced by better models. If we just make room for every model and treat them as they're all equally valid, then we're effectively nullified as truth seekers. Lean Dion, you're correct. They fabricate or hijack natural synchronicity with the world stage stuff. Yeah, I think there's this deliberate intention here to mystify those who look too close, so that rather than going for the mundane, prosaic explanation that we're looking at propaganda, which is boring, they go into, this is evidence that the power elite are working big magic and this is a simulation. It's an eerie coincidence or it's a simulation glitching. And I think that's the more entertaining thing. And I think people generally put entertainment above ideology, above religion, when it comes to why they find certain ideas or explanations satisfactory. Eric Stevens says, John the Bond's one of my favorite Australians. I'll have to, again, I'll check him out again. Eccentric Views, I look forward to hearing that. But this is an evolving conversation. It's an evolving topic, and I would posit that we at the IPS are the cutting edge. I think we've dispensed with a lot of the guardrails that hold a lot of people into a model of the world that was handed to them. You were given the model, you rejected it, you found Trutherville, that became your new model. And that model also needs to go. We have more information that invalidates it. And that's the process I think that we all have to go through. We have to go through the process of recognizing that we can be misled. We're capable of being duped. And it's never been more true. I freely admit that even though I pay attention and I make a distinction between the real and fake as best I can, and I often point out how we're living in a world of visual illiterates where we can't tell real from fake, I fall for it too. I saw a clownfish the size of a whale, and I thought it was real. So, we have to be discerning, and suspending judgment makes sense because you might agree to something without having vetted it properly. All right, this is Lucifer Tim, 33rd Degree. Thanks for the time and comments. I will be sending out notifications with the archives later this evening.